Good morning, ladies. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our Leadership in Action 2017. My name is Barbara Mitchell, and I get to work with this great group of women who help to put this together every year, and it really is a labor of love. We all have full-time jobs, and we all do this on top of our jobs to volunteer because we think it's so special and important to provide this day for all of you. Just to give you a little background, we are part of the Women's Business Connection. I'm the chair of that this year, which is an affinity group of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. And the Women's Business Connection has been around this is our 21st year. We had our 20th celebration last year. And that came about by a group of women that were part of the chamber that felt like they needed to create a group that would support women and help women to get to the next level. We've actually been questioned recently by people saying, oh, it's 2017. Really? Is there a need for a women's group? Yes. The answer is yes. I don't know if any of you in the room know this, but we still don't make the same as men. My daughter is a freshman in college, and she was shocked to find that out recently. So I want to make sure every single girl here knows that we do not make the same amount of money as men. So we still have a lot to fight about. So today is all about empowering you as young female future role models, like all of us try to be here. If I could get everyone in the LEA committee to just stand up so that you could give them a round of applause. We have Erin Williams and Maggie Horan. Maggie just got married. What's your last name now? Maggie Juicy and June Cutoff. And then we have Mary Orn, Jeanette Travellini, Sandy Almazian, Paula Rose not here, Marty Dwyer. Most of you schools know Marty because she was our main school liaison. She was a great person. And then can I get the other volunteers to stand up that all came today to help? Thank you, everybody. So that's the other thing you have to realize is that there's people that sponsor today. We couldn't do this day without Curry College. They provide the location, they provide the food, the breakfast and lunch. They allow us to use their campus and go into their classrooms. They do all the setup for us. It's just an amazing amount of work. And I'm sorry, Tammy and Courtney from the South Shore Chamber. I'm so bad with names. Thank you to you guys as well. And then we're going to introduce Johnny later, but I have to thank Johnny for being our first ever male speaker in the 7 years of doing LEA. So he's a brave man. And so now I just want to kick off by introducing our panel coordinator, Sandy. Sandy Almazian is a psychotherapist and a business consultant. As a psychotherapist, she helps individuals figure out who they are and what they want to do with their lives and discover methods to improve their personal and professional relationships. I recently just made an appointment with Sandy because I said, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So we all go through that. As a business consultant, she works with business owners to assess, strategize, and improve the conflicting dynamics that are hindering the business culture. She has a private practice in Braintree, Massachusetts. So if you're interested in that field of psychotherapy, Sandy is someone great to talk to. Our fourth panelist is running late. It's Chief Donna McNamara. She's a good friend of mine, and she's been participating in LEA for the past 7 years, and every year she's got a promotion. And last year she was the acting chief of Stoughton Police, and this year she is the chief of Stoughton Police. So something came up this morning, so she's running a little late, but she will be here, and there's usually a line of girls waiting to talk to her about law enforcement. So with no further ado, I hand you Sandy and our beautiful panelists.
Good morning. So, life is not just about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So the bottom line in life is that if I had learned one thing from my first boss, who was a gift to have as a boss, is to learn how to be flexible is really, really key. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. There's not many of us that start out. There are some that know what they want to do when they grow up and get there. Most people take twists and turns in life. So plan on that one way or another. So anyways, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, little pieces out of a person's life that's a real life person that's well known. So this young lady grew up in poverty, not the worst, but not the best. She had not the best home life. Her father was an alcoholic and he was addicted to crack cocaine. He worked as a warehouse manager. Her mother worked as an accountant. At about age 14, the parents divorced. At that point, she became the primary caretaker for her younger brother. During that time in school, which school was not the greatest experience for her because she was picked on. She was picked on and bullied because she didn't look like everybody else. She didn't act like everybody else. And also at the same time, she had really horrible headaches. They were probably migraines. And also during that time, not only being bullied and picked on, she really worked hard. And the statement she'd make publicly was, I didn't want my classmates to know that I was abnormal. I needed to hide it. After that, she did a lot of things. Like I said, she was bullied. She said that the thick skin has been developing since my first day at school. It didn't come with fame. She needed that thick skin to survive a lot of things. Also, later on in her, as an adult, she also was publicly known for being in a domestic violence situation with another well-known person. So she's had a lot of challenges. But the one thing she said is that being able to reach out and let yourself be vulnerable has been part of the way that she's made it through life. Now, that person that I'm telling you little bits and pieces of about her life is Rihanna. Now, how many of you knew about that part of her life? Anybody? So who would ever look at her? She's beautiful, she's famous, she makes tons of money, and how many people would know that she'd been bullied and dealt with alcohol and drugs in her family life? So we all have stuff. That's really the story of life. We all have stuff. And even when you look at people and they look perfect and they look wonderful and oh wow, they're doing really well in life and they have tons of money and all that, I'm going to tell you, my work allows me to be a part of people's journey. And what I've learned is the most well put together person and all that has stuff that they deal with. But the bottom line is they took that stuff and they used it like rocket fuel and they directed it to get through life. So, with that in mind, I want to introduce the panel, but I'm actually going to ask these ladies to introduce themselves and tell you who they are, a little bit about what they do, and I'm going to turn it over to you. So, Holly Nichols.
Hello, everyone. My name's Holly Nichols. I grew up on the South Shore in Quincy. And I attended Endicott College and graduated with a degree in studio arts. And I decided that I would like to get into fashion. So I started a career as a fashion illustrator with the help of social media and an interest in fashion and art. And today I have a studio in Braintree, and I get to work with a lot of brands that I admire, like Saks, Barney's, Bloomingdale's, Neiman's. So I kind of went after the brands that I liked as a consumer, and I am now able to work with them as an artist and fulfill my dreams to be an artist and fashion illustrator.
Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Janelle Woods McNish, and I have the distinct honor of working at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. I'm the Director of Employee Service and Giving. So what does that mean? That means that I get all of our fabulous employees out into the community doing great work, making it a better place for our employees and our customers to live, but also showcasing how great an employer that Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare is. So that's what I do in my day job. My real title is I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, and I'm a friend. And those titles to me are most important. In everything that you do, and we'll talk a lot about this in terms of your life journey, in everything you do, know that a title is just that. How you show up, what your values are, what you believe in, how you make people feel, what you contribute. Those are the things that people remember more so than your title. And more so than what you do for a 9-to-5 job. So those titles to me, if you leave with nothing else, those are the titles that I want you to know about me, is that I'm someone that is very committed to my family, very committed to my community, committed to you, because I see our future leaders in each and every one of you. And if you leave with nothing else knowing that about me, that's the title that I want you to know about Janelle.
Thanks, Janelle. Thanks, Holly. My name is Catherine Minahan. I work at Boston Healthcare for the Homeless program. It's a nonprofit in downtown Boston. I'm from Wakefield, Mass, north of Boston. I've been really lucky to work at Healthcare for the Homeless, really as a volunteer all throughout high school. I went to Colby College up in Maine. It's a really small school. I was a women's gender and sexuality studies major and an anthropology minor. And with that, I went on to work at a tech company, coding for a year, decided it was not a fit for me. And then from there, I went back to work at Healthcare for the Homeless, where I'd previously volunteered. I work with all of our corporate partners. I've been really lucky to host groups from Harvard Pilgrim for Volunteers Days, and I work to make sure that the business community in Boston knows about the work that we're doing at Healthcare for the Homeless.
Great. All right. To go along with the theme, like I said, not everybody has a direct path to get to where they are. And what most people don't look at is there's things that occur in our lives, people that come into our lives that help us to, let's say, make changes, take different turns, open up doors. And basically what I want each of the panelists to maybe talk about is was there a situation or a person that helped you to get to where you are, that drove you to be where you are today? And I'm going to ask Janelle to start.
Perfect. So I would say that there's two defining moments for me and two very key people in my life. The first one was the person that told me to take a chance on a job. I grew up, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Great. First person in my family to go to college. And so that was like the dream job for me because I can talk and I can argue like nobody else. So I thought that was a perfect job for me. Got a business degree and decided, you know what, I want to go into higher education. Got my master's in higher education. And I met this amazing woman who was a recruiter for Harvard Pilgrim. And she said, there's this job, it's kind of funky, it's new, you'd be great. You have a great personality for it. I was in my dream job of working in admissions, recruiting first generation students of color, which is my passion because I was one of those kids. And I said, you know, I don't know if I want to take that chance. I'm in academia to go into corporate America. That's a big risk for me. I decided to take the chance because the job sounded interesting. The company looked great. And fast forward, I've been doing this work for 10 years now. And this is my passion. This is my career. I ended up going back to get an MBA to continue to further my education. But if you were to look at my background in higher education, the work that I had been doing before this, you would have never thought that I would work for a health insurance company, that I'd be working in corporate philanthropy and giving. So I say that this person helped me think differently about what I could do. They helped me take a risk. And sometimes taking that one risk is it's going to be a domino effect and it's going to open up doors in a way that you can never imagine. So always think about taking that risk, taking that chance, because you never know what's going to happen. The second person is someone that came into my life recently, and she's been really challenging me to do more, to do better, to let my light shine in a much different way. And I love her because she's a maximizer. She will say, Janelle, that's good, but not great. Is that the best you can give? And so when you look about the people that you surround yourself with, always have someone that sees the greatness in you and is willing to push you a little bit further and push you a little bit more, because there's something great about each and every one of you. And when you have someone in your life that really pushes you to be able to achieve that greatness, you will be able to do things that you could never imagine. And for those two people, I'm forever grateful for being able to have me take a risk and to be able to push me to be at the level and the next level that I should be at.
Ask you a question about that.
Absolutely.
You had to be open to being pushed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's fear
hard?
in that too. So there's an element of fear. Like, that's life. You're going to be afraid of things. And I think being open to new things, being open to change, being open to fear. I'm in front of you talking right now, which it's great and I sound natural, but there's a little bit of fear in me. So as you mentioned earlier, that people look put together and they look poised and they have it all together. We all have a little bit of fear. We all have a little bit of insecurities and doubts, and that's perfectly fine. Push through that. But be open to that. and it's okay. It's absolutely normal.
Thank you. Catherine?
I'd say there have been a lot of situations in my life, but also not that many. I'm pretty young. I know it looks like I'm up here in a suit and I have these studious glasses. My mom bought me this suit. Like I'm really not that much of an adult. Don't worry. That picture in the program book is actually from my senior year of high school. So I know it. I know it may seem crazy that I'm up here, but I'm so honored to be here. I think for me, the constant in my life really throughout high school and college and in my early career has been passion. So really, you know, we're all smart and I can apply myself in so many different situations and give 110%. But if your head's in it and your heart's not in it, it's just not going to work. You need to have something that your heart's in it as much as your head is. And if you're following your passion and following really what you're about, it'll make everything so much easier. And how you find really your passion and what you want to do or what you're best at because you're really in love with what you're doing, you just need to say yes. You need to be a yes person, take all the opportunities that you can. People ask you for help, say yes. And also you need to ask for help. I think one of the biggest things is I had a teacher who said it's much easier to say no over email. If you ask someone in person, they're going to have to say yes. And I got really good at asking people for help and asking people for favors. And when you have the courage and power to ask someone for help, it creates a wealth of learning opportunities and a wealth of experiences for yourself. So don't be afraid to ask for help and make sure you say yes if someone asks you for help. And really just follow what you're passionate about. And right now you may have no idea what you're passionate about, or maybe you have 12 billion things that you're passionate about. When you're growing up and going through college and going through high school, try to find those things that really motivate you and really hone in on those, because that really is what makes and defines success.
Holly?
Yeah, I would say I agree with Catherine on the passion being the driving force. When I was in high school and college, I had teachers that tried to discredit my interest in fashion, and I encountered this not only in school but professionally. People kind of they kind of nod and go, "Oh, that's nice. Like you're into fashion because everyone says it." But if you're really passionate about it, people pick up on it, and it helped me. When I was in art school, it's a tricky major because you don't really have a concrete path in front of you. So when I graduated, I had a teacher say to me, if you want to draw dresses all day, you're never going to find a job. And I just kept drawing dresses all day. And I started an Instagram account, and I was sharing the sketches that I was doing. And soon people were following me and interested in purchasing my work. And that turned into brands and businesses wanting to purchase my work and work with me. And so from there, I kind of built a community of other artists who ended up being my mentors. Some of them younger, some of them older, but we all kind of lift each other and inspire each other. And that's the reason I kind of wake up every day and I go to my studio and it stays fresh, because I'm just staying interested and I haven't lost the passion in what I'm doing. And, excuse me, I think people can pick up quickly if you're doing something you're not interested in. And for me, it was much more rewarding to embark in a career that has a very uncertain future than to go on a path that was concrete into something that I was only a bit half interested in. So I'm happy that I kind of built my own career and I'm my own boss, and it's rewarding.
Chief Donna, come on over. And while you're coming over, I'm going to ask you ladies, don't reveal the name, but do you all have somebody that you're sitting here going, yeah, if this person could see me now? And I want you to look at their faces when I ask them that question. Well, anybody here not have that person? Remember, no names. Okay. Did you know them in high school?
You know what? I find people like to put you in boxes. They like to say that you're this kind of way. you are this person, and that they define you how they either see themselves or how they want you to be. And so I'm always redefining who Janelle is. Janelle is not one dimensional. Janelle is like 10 dimensional. And there's so many different areas of my life that I thoroughly enjoy and that make me who I am. So I'm constantly challenging the way people view me. And so I'm always like, if you can see me now, because you never know what Janelle's going to do. But that's what makes me me. Everyone has uniquenesses about them and have amazing qualities. So don't get put in a box. Don't let others put you in a box. And you define who you want to be, how you want to show up in this world, what contributions you want to make, and can always say, look at me now.
Thank you. So, Chief Donna McNamara, we're thrilled to have you here, and she's a pro at doing this, as we've seen her grow in her profession and get to the top, but maybe more is to come. But if you can tell people a little bit about what you do, and also throw in kind of a piece about, was there a defining moment or situation that kind of helped you to push to get to where you are?
Good morning. I apologize for being late. My job is has many curveballs at different times of the day. Started a couple nights ago at 10 o'clock at night. We had a pretty bad accident in my town, and it's been changing ever since. I got to work all day yesterday. Unlike most people, got to have a day off. So I am the current chief of the Stoughton Police Department. I was permanently appointed that position a few months ago at the end of January. So 15 months ago, my chief of 7 years, at the time, 6 years, asked me to take over as the interim acting chief of my department. I had the least amount of seniority as a lieutenant. I had been a lieutenant for 11 months. I had one lieutenant that had been there for 15 years and another one that was a lieutenant for 3 years. Let's just say I was a little surprised when he pulled me in his office and asked me to close the door so he could have a private conversation with me on that day. My first question to him was, why are you choosing me? Because there were senior lieutenants that had been in the department for a lot longer than me. So that was a pretty defining moment when he turned to me and said, because you get it, you understand what needs to be done as a chief. It is a much different job than being a lieutenant, being a sergeant, being a detective, being a patrol officer. There are many facets to this job, much of which is making very fast decisions on very important things that have maybe not life-threatening, but administrative duties that require big answers in a very short amount of time with very little information at times. So defining, yeah, that was a defining moment about 15 months ago. And I took my shot. I've been in law enforcement and criminal justice system since 1996 when I started as a corrections officer. Worked for the Sheriff's Department for 4 years before becoming a police officer. So my life has been pretty rapidly changing over the last 4 or 5 years. The first year that I came to this program, I was a detective, and that was about 5 years ago, and my life has changed rapidly. Promoted to sergeant, then to lieutenant, and now to chief. Last year I sat here as an interim chief, not knowing if I was going to get the full-time position. In order to get this job, I went through a 3-day interview. 3 days, all day, for 3 consecutive days, with 4 other colleagues all competing for the job. You never know what day and things that are going to come your way. And that's exactly what took place in those 3 days of the interview. Was we were given scenarios that we would not imagine could happen, but do happen as an administrator and as a chief. So luckily I came out on top and was given the position permanently for the next couple of years anyways. Well, my contract is.
Thank you, Donna. By the way, am I correct that your former chief is now in Braintree?
Yes, he is taken over temporarily there for the next couple of years. I was just at a conference in Florida with him, and he looks forward to the challenges that come his way. And just because he left my department doesn't mean that we don't stay in touch. It's very lonely at the top. There are very few chiefs in the Commonwealth. You know, there's only a couple hundred, and you got to make some big decisions. So you turn to other people, and you can't be afraid that you don't know the answer to everything, because someone that says that they can't learn something every single day from anybody, whether it be a patrol officer or a citizen in the community, is fooling themselves. You can learn something every single day in whatever job you do, as long as you're willing and you have an open mind.
Thank you. So Braintree, we're in good hands. Not that we aren't in the other towns. So anyways, I asked a little bit earlier, have any of you ever had a mentor or been a mentor? And if so, what has it what has it done for you? Donna kind of addressed that.
I think for me, one of the biggest things is, well, I have my mom and dad. I'm really lucky that my mom and dad are really, really cool. We get along really well, and I know that I can ask them for advice. But beyond that, I think it's really important to seek out mentors in other situations, whether it be a cousin or someone from your church or from your school. For me, outside of my family, I really relied on close relationships that I made with teachers. You guys are all probably here. Some of you are sitting next to your teachers. You're like, oh my God, why is she saying this? But going after class, going, to special events, and really making close connections with your teachers makes so much of a difference. They've been through it with so many other students and so many other female students, and they can really help you out, help you to make great decisions so that you're on the right track for college and beyond, or whatever life may have in store for you. And, there's some study that says in college, the one defining key characteristic of success is if you had a close relationship with a professor in college. If you had someone you could go to after hours, if you had someone you could go to after your class. And I think that's really true, regardless if it's college or high school. Just keeping close ties with one person in an academic setting that you can rely on for emotional support as well.
Thank you.
I definitely had a mentor, and I have been a mentor. And I will say that my mentor is absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I will challenge you to think about as you think about a mentor is someone who is the exact opposite of who you are. My mentor is an older Italian white male, and he has provided so much insight, guidance, support, perspective, and ways of viewing things that I myself have not thought about. And so as much as it's easy to be in your comfort zone in terms of both surrounding yourself with people who are just like you and looking for someone who's a mentor that may be just like you, I actually challenge you to find someone who is much different than you, because that diversity of thinking and thought and guidance is really helpful. I would also like to add, as much as it's important to have a mentor, it's very important actually. Also think about those who you surround yourself with, because I find that the company that you keep is a huge influence on what you can do. There's a phrase that says iron sharpens iron. You want to surround yourself with people who are like-minded in terms of their passion for life. They want to achieve certain things. They want to do their best and give their best. You don't want to surround yourself with people who don't have that same drive and mentality. You may be different in what you pursue, but the company that you keep can either build you up or they can tear you down. So I think it's extremely important to have a mentor, but the close company you keep is as important to help define who you are and be a positive influence in that space.
I look at that like a tea bag in a hot water. If you put your tea bag in dirty water, how's the tea going to taste? So it's a weird way of looking at it. Holly.
I never had a specific mentor growing up, but my family, of course, has always helped and continues to help. I think more recently, I've found a lot of support in different communities in the art and fashion community through social media. It sounds very cliche, but it's incredible the people that you'll meet, and they'll attend events with me. And I get to talk with them, and I might be able to give them advice, but then in turn, they have a lot to give back. So I was recently doing a presentation at Apple, and I had in California, and I had a few artists come up to me after, and we kind of just talked. And it's incredible what you'll learn from everyone around you. And similar to what you were saying, I think it's important that you surround yourself with the right people, because where I'm young, relatively young, I found that a lot of people were interested in helping me, but also taking advantage of me. And it's a very hard line at first to distinguish, but you learn quickly. And it then becomes very clear who's there to help you for your best interest and who's there to help you for their best interest. But there's more people on the good side than the bad, which is very comforting to know.
Did you want to add anything to that? I would say that in different portions of your life, at different times in your life, you're going to have different mentors. I'm the oldest one on the panel here. I told you that the other three ladies. And so I've had many different mentors at different stages in my life. In athletics in high school, I had a mentor that was a coach and my best friend's father. In college, I had other mentors, professors, as it was previously spoken about. So I think you have to find at different stages. You can't put yourself in a box and then decide, oh, only this person can be my mentor. First of all, to be a mentor, you have to want to be one, so you need to identify and try and find people and ask them. I have asked people in my career, there's very few women in law enforcement at different times. My mentor in law enforcement is a woman that's a deputy chief in the town of Canton. But I knew her when I was 20, and I've known her for the last 26 years, and watched her grow within her career. And so I began to emulate that as I began my career in law enforcement. So at different times of your life, you're going to see different things in people that you want to emulate and look up to and ask them. Don't be afraid to ask that question. Would you be willing to be my mentor? About 3 years ago, I was given the opportunity to spend a week with the chief in Tampa, Florida, and follow her around for a week to find out how she got to the point where she was. And that was my previous chief, identifying someone that could be someone else other than a local mentor for me to look up to and ask questions about in this career to get to that level. So it's not just different parts of your life can bring different mentors, and they become very important in the whole person that you become.
Thank you. So I think the bottom line on that is that don't be afraid to ask, because sometimes the people that you ask are actually surprised that you would, and probably very pleased that you would, and probably be very open to it. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, anybody I know that's done a job as a mentor has always said that they got more out of working with that mentee than they think that they gave. So don't be afraid to ask. So we have a lot of different people here that do a lot of different things. Do any of you have any questions for them? Comments?
Every single day. No, sorry.
The question was how many times do you change your mind about what you want to be? A career. Any of you?
Years old. 18, I wanted to become a police officer, and I set my mind and goals to that point. And I've been working since that day. I started my education at 18 at a junior college and started right in my career in law enforcement at 25. So I set my goals and I worked towards it. So I'm going to say that I never wanted to do something different. Do you take lateral steps with regards to changing your career? Yeah, I never thought I'd want to be a corrections officer, but I took the opportunity. And then when I got in my job as a police officer, the tools that I had learned as a corrections officer were incredible. I saw a lot more things because when I was in the jail setting, I don't have the tools like I have on my duty belt when you're inside that facility. So my senses, my eyes, my ears, were a key part of being a good corrections officer. So within your decision making, you have to be able to take lateral steps that maybe you have your mind set on what your goal is, but you might have to take a left or a right to get to where you want to go, but that's still where you want to go.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I I mean, specifically, I think I ended up changing my major twice, but I had several different things I thought I wanted to do. So I entered college as an interior design major, and it was creative, but not creative enough for me. So I switched my major to studio art. And then post graduation, which was 4 years ago, I think I've had about 5 jobs until I settled on my full time job now, which is being a freelance artist. But you kind of have to be flexible at what's thrown at you, and eventually it falls into place. And when it does, it's very clear.
I think one of the key things that you'll hear is a clear definition of their passions, and I think that doesn't change. I think for me, I have 3 degrees now, maybe a 4th coming soon, but what I'm committed to and what my values are centered around people and community. So any job that I have will have to entail that. And so while I've been at my company for 10 years, and I never thought I'd be at any company for 10 years just because that's just not my personality, but it allows me to connect with people and give back to the community in a way that fulfills my values and who I want to be. So when you hear when 2 panelists talk about their passion for being in law enforcement or their passion for design, that's been consistent. How you do that will evolve and change. And so once you are centered in what you want to contribute, what your values are, what you're passionate about, the careers and the titles, they may come and go, and how you contribute will come and go, but stay true to who you are. And a big part of that is really knowing what your values are, what you're passionate about, and spending time thinking about that. That's what's most important.
Catherine, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said earlier, I just, find out what you like to do. For me, I like helping people. I like talking. And that was one thing I wanted to say earlier when Sandy asked if there was anything, like if you wanted to say, look at me now to anyone. Growing up, people always told me, shh, be quiet. My name's Catherine, so chatty Kathy worked out really well. It's just unfortunate. But I mean, one of the reasons I'm here right now is because I talked all the time, because I asked questions. I wasn't afraid to raise my hand. But that being said, I'm still constantly asking questions to myself of what I want to do. I know I love helping people. I love being in the public health world. I love being in the healthcare world. And so I took the opportunity to take a class at night. So I'm going back to school to kind of experiment with nursing to see if I want to be on more of the clinical side of things. I have no idea if that will work out, but I have the opportunity to take one class. It kind of stinks going after work to school, but it's worth it because I'm just exploring another avenue that aligns really well with my passion.
Thank you. Any other question before we close up? No? Okay. Barbara? Well, like I started, life is not just about finding yourself. It is absolutely about creating yourself. And if you look at each of these ladies, they've taken what they've been given, they made it out to be more than what it could be, and it looks like the journey is going to continue. And I guess my last question before I do close up is, do any of you have any dreams that you are about to explore? We heard about school and all that, but who here has a dream? Anybody?
I'll tell you a fun fact about me. So I actually compete in pageants, and I actually just came back. You do. I love pageants. So talk about more than one dimension. So I actually will be heading to South Africa this August to compete for the Mrs. Universe, or the married pageant for women, the Mrs. Universe pageant. So 84 women from across the world will be competing for this title. So that's a huge passion of mine. Sometimes it's on my bio, sometimes it's not. I say that because that's a dream of mine. I love doing it, but it's not part of my title. So I say that to say that not everything that you do has to be your job. You can be passionate about animal rescue, and that could be something that you serve on boards for, you give back in the community, and you volunteer for. But don't ever let your life be defined just by your job. You have so many other interests, so many other things you can give back. So explore all those things. But for me, pageants is what I love to do, and I will be in South Africa in August. Thank you.
You going to let us all know how you do?
I will, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I'm going to count on that. Okay, so who else here has a dream that they want to talk about? Holly, you look like you have something going on there. What's your next dream? What's your next thing?
No, I have a lot, and I feel lucky to have accomplished so many that I had when I graduated college already. But I just want to create art in different places. So I've never been to Europe, so I'd love to do, Milan Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, stuff like that. So there's a lot to see that I haven't seen yet.
Well,
Donna? Okay, no, Catherine, go.
Donna, please. Go, I don't have to.
So I just received my degree from Curry College a week ago. So as I said previously, there's always opportunities to learn. I've applied for the FBI National Academy. It might take me a couple years to get into it just because of the demand is so high. Executives from across the country apply to go into this 3-month long, it's like a boot camp, but it's also educational, and it's the best minds in law enforcement that are constantly trying to find the best ways to accomplish policing in the United States and actually across the world. So that application went in actually 2 weeks ago. It might take me a couple years, but that's my next desire is to get to that academy.
Catherine.
Well, as of yesterday, I have to let you guys in on a little secret. My dream was to be in a college auditorium speaking in front of 200 juniors and sophomores. No, this is kind of cool. I do feel really lucky to be here. I'm not sure what my dream is. It's ever evolving. I'd say that the good thing is that I'm really open to what my dream could be. There's a lot of things. I'm a doula. You guys might not know what that is, but I assist in childbirth for at-risk moms who don't necessarily have a support system. And so I guess one of my dreams would be for a more equitable birth process, regardless of race or social economic status. And again, that's just on a really broad level, but whatever comes my way, I'm really open to it. If you guys have any ideas, let me know after this. But I think, whatever it may be, I'll throw myself into it 110%.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys have come from all over to be here, and clearly in talking with all of you over the course of the last several months, I know for sure that you did this because you also want to pay it forward. And I say to all of you, don't be afraid to dream, and don't think that your dreams can't come true. So on that note, I think we're about to meet another dreamer that made it come true.
Ladies, some of the ladies can stick around today and others cannot. So if you want to ask them questions, or I think Holly's business card is in all of your bags. It looks like a little piece of art. That's how great her business cards are. And Janelle works with me at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. So if you have follow-up questions for Janelle, they can flow through me. And Catherine, you're going to stick around at lunch, right? Catherine will be here at lunch. And I don't think Chief McNamara can stick around too long, can you? All right. So thank you so much, ladies, very, very much. It's awesome. So I know that's a tough act to follow, but now we have the founder of Johnny Cupcakes. His real name is Johnny Earl, and he was named America's #1 young entrepreneur by Business Week. He's been profiled in the New York Times, NPR, MTV, Forbes, Newsweek magazine, and the Boston Globe, and featured in Inc. magazine as one of the world's fastest growing independent businesses. Despite having learning difficulties combined with the inability to sit still and concentrate, when Johnny did discover something he had a passion for, he obsessed over it. That particular passion was being an entrepreneur. From lemonade stands to performing magic, he had 16 different businesses before he was 16 years old. At 19, he had a passion for his one-of-a-kind t-shirt business to go global, so in a saturated marketplace, he needed a different recipe that would go viral. He created such a unique brand experience that consumers would, and do, line up around the block for Johnny. For hours, people line up for him. He enjoys bringing out the kid in everyone and continues to do so with his experience-based brand. He's opened more than 400 pop-up shops around the world. Backyard barbecues, art galleries, sneaker shops, universities, actual bakeries, and even on the side of the street. After 5 global store openings, he inspires fans to camp out for weeks ahead of time and high-profile collaborations such as The Simpsons, Looney Tunes, and Nickelodeon. And so it was with great pleasure I want to introduce our first male keynote speaker, Johnny Earl, aka Johnny Cupcakes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello, my name is Johnny Cupcakes. Cupcakes is not my real last name, but sometimes I pretend it is, and I tell people that it's Portuguese and that it's Kupkakis, and I'll put a couple dots above the U to make it look authentic. A few things about me. I love Wu-Tang Clan. I love banh mi sandwiches. I love Mario Kart 64, Aladdin the video game, and I love to floss my teeth all the time. If you're ever looking for me, you just got to follow the little toothpicks all over the place. I'm obsessed with flossing my teeth. And I also love Home Alone. It's one of my favorite movies. However, the people who now live here do not love trespassers, so I was only able to take 140 photos with my fake tarantula and Talkboy before getting kicked off of the property in Chicago. What I don't love is traffic. I grew up in Hull, Massachusetts, and I would see my family, Hull, Massachusetts, and I'd see my family commute to work all the time, and the amount of time they spent in traffic was so much time, and it really took away from the time that my parents spent raising my sister and I. So at a young age, I was determined to figure out a way to work for myself so that I could spend more time with the people that I love. This is me when I was younger. Not much has changed. I still have all of those toys, and I can still fit into those clothes. There's me pretending to eat my little sister when she was born, and there's my dad's award-winning mustache. Let me just X out of this for a second. So, my family didn't have too much money growing up, so my mom would never pay for my haircuts at the place down the street where my friends would go. Instead, she would cut my hair with kitchen scissors. And even though I looked like a weirdo, my parents taught me it's what's inside that counts. So every day when I rolled out of bed and went to school, I was very curious. So I was always making friends with the troublemakers, with the athletic kids, with the gothic kids. I was just very curious about everyone's story because everybody has a story. This is my best friend, Lindsay. She's my little sister. Through being an entrepreneur, I now get to see her and work with her every single day, and it's a true, true blessing. So I like to say, do more of what makes you happy. It's a very simple phrase, but oftentimes we stop remembering the reason why we started doing what we do. So having those constant reminders, being a part of good communities, good groups of people that will support those ideas that you once have, and just keeping that passion alive. I started 16 businesses before I was 16 years old, determined to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. I did not know what I wanted to do, but I love putting puzzles together. And any time I started a business, it was never the financial outcome. It was mostly the puzzle of putting something together and figuring it out. So I started with lemonade stands. I graduated to having yard sales when my family was not home. This didn't last too long. This was a very short-lived business. Other businesses I had, I'd set up haunted houses in my friend Brian's backyard. We'd charge people, $1 a ticket to go through this sketchy haunted house, and it failed terribly, but it was another learning lesson. Winter came around, and so did I. I'd go up and down Nantasket Avenue with my shovel, and I bought this at the hardware store for about $8. And as much as I wanted to go sledding at the South Shore Country Club, I decided I'm going to spend time to shovel snow, and I'm going to make $20 a driveway. And the best thing about it is, since I could barely push the shovel, it worked out to my advantage because people felt bad for me, so they gave me tips all the time. So I would get $5, $10 tips here and there. Summertime came around, so did I. I'd go up and down Nantasket Beach with my bony adolescent limbs, dragging this cooler filled with drinks that I would illegally sell on the beach. I realized that I could get a 12 or 24 pack of Coca-Cola for a significantly discounted price as long as I took a financial risk up front and as long as I sacrificed my personal time to learn, to network, and to just get a little bit more ahead. I got into magic. This is when everything changed. This is when I realized I could do something that makes me happy, that makes other people happy, and I could figure out a way to get paid for this, which felt like a magic in itself. My parents got me this magic kit for my birthday or for Christmas, and I started doing magic at other people's birthdays. I would get paid $20 a half an hour to perform magic. I only knew like 20 minutes worth of magic, so it was not that much money, but it was mostly my family that hired me. But I was very excited to put myself out there, and I was infatuated with creating a unique experience for people and making people smile. So this was a very fun business. In fact, my mom gave me a scrapbook a few years ago, and it was very thoughtful. She saved the actual newspaper clipping from the Hull Times. She put an ad in the newspaper advertising these magic shows that I did. And keep in mind, I did this between ages 8 and 12 years old. I would do magic. So I'm looking back at this, and I realized two things. One, my own mother would drop me off at strangers' houses to perform magic. And I'm like, Mom, I could have, like, for real disappeared. And that would have been a really scary magic trick. And then I also realized I'm not 8 years old anymore. So if I put this in the newspaper now, it definitely looks a little sketchy. So I am not going to do that. It's really hard to be a magician that is not that doesn't come off creepy. I think it's impossible. So I get very excited when I meet other magicians. So I got put into a charter school. I had a really hard time learning. I never ended up taking any drugs for it or any charter school, but this ended up being the best thing that happened to me because I got put into smaller classrooms and I got to learn hands-on, and that helped me retain a lot more information. And my magic tricks didn't help me, focus in school, and I was so scared to go to this charter school. I thought it was going to be the worst thing, but it completely changed my life. And that learning hands-on. So, and you could still do that in any school. Just internships are so key because you learn firsthand what you want to do or what you do not want to do for the rest of your life. And that could completely change things for you. So the more you put yourself out there, the more you get back. I made the school's first yearbook. It was at a startup charter school, the South Shore Charter School. Our first classrooms were in hotel rooms, and every room had a bathroom in it, which served as the storage, which was really awkward. But I made the school's first yearbook, and I went around with my personal scrapbook, and I took pre-orders. If any of you ever have ideas for a business and you have little to no startup money, or you're facing a financial hurdle, pre-orders are a great way to take a very calculated risk. So selling something before it exists. So I would go around, I'd say, yeah, I've got this yearbook I'm working on, and if you want to give me $20 now, I'll save one for you and give it to you in a couple months. So I was able to get about 100 pre-orders at $20 each. So I made $2,000 in 8th grade off of a product that didn't even exist yet. So again, it's putting yourself out there, taking those risks. And then I went to Kinko's and I got the yearbooks made, and they cost me $5 each. So I was able to make a $1,500 profit. But the next year, the school decided to start a yearbook. So I had to come up with something else to sell. And I ran into the Bible of entrepreneurship. I would go to the Harbor Light Mall, rest in peace, and I would go to this one shop and buy all of my pranks. I used to buy so many pranks from this joke shop that the owner gave me a catalog, and I learned about wholesale. I learned about the Oriental Trading Company. I couldn't believe this magazine. You could get 1 billion pieces of candy for like $60, and if you sell them for $1 each, you can make $1 billion. I was doing all this monkey math in my head. I was like, this is going to be great. So I started buying pranks at wholesale prices. I would buy 144 whoopee cushions for the price of 4 or 5 retail whoopee cushions, and I would resell them in school. This was going great. Anytime I'd sell these pranks, I'd take that money and I'd put it back into the business. Whether you're working for yourself or for someone else, it's often attractive to take that money and buy some new clothes or go on a road trip. But if you're really serious about building your brand and building your business and your portfolio, you have to put that time and money back in yourself. So at this time, I was putting my time and money back into more pranks. I had itching powder, fart spray, stink bomb, switchblade combs, everything that I should not have been selling in school, I was selling in school. Itching powder got me in big trouble. Someone had an allergic reaction and their back was covered with hives, and they had to get rushed to the South Shore Hospital. They were allergic to whatever was in the itching powder. This isn't really their back. I got this off a Google image search. At first I typed in rash, and then I was like, oh no. So then I typed in back rash, and I got this. So I went back to school. I had to come up with something else to sell. Since most of my friends were selling drugs at the time, I decided to sell, seriously, so I decided to sell candy. I realized that I could buy anything in the world at inexpensive prices. Again, as long as I take the financial risk up front, as long as I make time to, to sacrifice my time to sell more candy. Even though there was a school store, I had all the good stuff, and I could sell candy during class. So I'd go to BJ's, Costco's, Walgreens, Walmart, and I would come back with loads of candy to sell in school. I had Sour Patch Kids, Sour Patch Watermelons, the best thing in the world next to Blue Raspberry Gushers, Swedish Fish. I'd come home with a backpack full of cash. If I could sell 100 packs of candy 2 times a day at $1 each, that's $200 a day times 5 days a week. That's $1,000 cash a week off of selling something legal. Even my drug dealer friends were like, whoa, how did you do that? That's crazy. And I said, guys, you're actually my #1 customer because you have the munchies all the time. And they were like, oh, yeah. And I was like, all right. So this did not last long, and this didn't happen all of the time. I got in trouble because I made more money than the school store did. The school store donates money to school functions, and I was donating money to whoopee cushions and not having to get a real job. So I had to focus. Entrepreneurship was not as relevant as it is today in school, so I flipped through the phone book. I was trying to get an internship. This was one of the requirements in order to graduate from the South Shore Charter School, and it was great. I would go around, I'd figure out what I wanted to do, but I'm flipping through this phone book. There was a construction company. I'm not really built for that. A plumbing company. I love the Mario Brothers, but I didn't want to be a plumber just yet. And then I found a place in Weymouth called Rainbow Screen that screen prints t-shirts. And even though I did not think of this t-shirt brand just yet, anytime I went to this internship and I'd see a t-shirt come out of that dryer, it was like an idea machine, and I was inspired and motivated every single day that I went to this internship. You're never too young or old to intern, to volunteer, to job shadow. Even just taking someone out for coffee for 15 minutes, just learn from people from all walks of life. Anytime I go out to eat, I have much respect for anyone that manages anybody in any type of industry. If you have to manage another human with their ever-changing emotions and ideas and motives, it's a really, really tough thing to do in all industries. So I feel like I get my best advice when I'm talking to managers at restaurants. Anytime there's a server that's bringing food over, I always ask them what their first concert is. And it kind of throws people off because it's a strange and personal question, but then it makes them smile and they start to think about their childhood and what their first concert was, and it's a great way to open up a discussion with somebody. My first concert was TLC, Boyz II Men in Montel Jordan, and I remember there was a gentleman in front of me who had this like windbreaker jumpsuit. I think he was a break dancer or something, but after that day I was like inspired to try to dress better. And the next day I went to school with my dad's windbreaker suit, which was way too big for me. And I don't know if you know what those Marlboro miles are on cigarettes. Well, my dad would save them and he'd get things from the Marlboro cigarette catalog. And I didn't know I wasn't supposed to wear this cigarette jumpsuit to school. I had to go back home and change, but it was very embarrassing. But that was my experience. So learning hands-on is key, especially for me. Learning from others, interning, volunteer, job shadowing. I still had other businesses. I DJ'd at one point. This was great. This was really fun. I sold glow sticks. I got these out of Oriental Trading Company. I'd sell these around 4th of July, both in Boston. I sold them in Quincy. I sold them in Hull, Massachusetts. I even sold Tupperware at one point. I was at Stop and Shop, and this really cute old lady came up to me, and she said, "How would you like to get a free minivan?" And I said, "I would love a free minivan." She said, "All you have to do is sell this Tupperware." And I said, "All right, let's do this." So I started selling Tupperware. I was the only guy that did it. I was the only person my age that did it. And it was a little creepy, but it was pretty sweet at the same time. And the one thing I'll never forget is they gave me these orange peelers that you give out if someone buys extra Tupperware from you. And it was a way to motivate people to buy more products from you. You're laughing. Did you sell Tupperware? Did you get the orange peeler from someone? All right. So in my business now, I think of a lot of incentives and ways to inspire brand loyalty by having these little giveaways and contests and whatnot. So I started cutting back on things I spent an excessive amount of time on. Video games, television, relationshiping. I had a girlfriend at the time who wasn't really supportive, so I broke up with her. I was sad for a week or two, but after those 2 weeks, I was like, whoa, look at all of this money I'm saving. No, I'm just kidding. But I said, look at all of this time that I have now, and it's time that I could use to find myself. And I didn't want to half step starting a business and half step another human's emotions. So it was important for me to build a foundation for my life before I take on the responsibility of another human's emotions, and it's a very delicate thing that I didn't want to screw up. So I was as lonely as it was spooning with my laptop. Anytime a romantic comedy would come on TV, I wanted to puke in my mouth, but I was like, all right, I know I have to do this. This is just the way, this is what I have to do. So that's what I did. I focused. And then partying, even though I grew up with troublemakers and drug dealers, I've still never had a sip of alcohol in my life before. I've never tried beer. I've never been drunk. I'm 34 years old, I think. And I love the smell of marijuana. It makes me think of my childhood and all of my friends and half of my family. But I've never tried it. I've never tried, and I'm okay with that. The amount of money that I've saved by not partying on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, recouping Sundays and half of Mondays, that's 5 days a week, my entire life, that I've been able to operate at 100%, and that I've been able to save a little bit of extra money and time to try out all these businesses, to find myself, and that's what I did, and I think managing your time and money is a very important thing. I had to separate myself from kids that I grew up with, that I loved, that I knew most of my life. But as you get older, you come to that realization of who your friends really are, and just because you knew someone for a long time and grew up with them when you were little kids, that doesn't mean you have to still be friends now. It's a very sobering realization of who your true friends are and who can really lift you up. So I had to make some of those decisions. I still go to parties. I'll bring my magic trick, so when people are wasted, I can really wow them. And I'll also bring Orajel with me. It's the gel format of Novocaine. It makes your mouth numb when you have a cavity. When my friends aren't looking, I'll put this on the rims of their drinks. And by the time they go hit on a cute girl or guy, they start drooling down their mouth because their face is numb. So I find ways to involve humor in my personal life and my professional life every single day. I think humor is a very important thing. We don't have too much time on this earth, so it's very important to smile and to inspire other people to laugh around you every single day. I went to college. I went to the Art Institute of New England or Boston. It was one of those chain schools that were in just about every state, but I saw an ad in Rolling Stone magazine and I wanted to learn how to record bands, so I went there for a little bit. It didn't work out for me, but my parents were really supportive, and I commuted to school, but at the same time I was in a hardcore metal band, and my band had the opportunity to go on tour, so I was like, I gotta try this out. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So my mom and my dad said, school's not going anywhere. If you want to take a couple years off or as much time as you need to find yourself, then you can make that financial decision of where you want to go to school. I do have some regrets. I wish that I did have a campus life experience. Every time September comes around, I get real happy, but also real sad when I see everyone moving into Boston to go to school, because I wish I had that experience that I did not have. Because even if I did not know what I wanted to do, I would have been able to develop a lot of people skills, and I think the relationships that you build in school are as important as some of the other things that you may not think of. So I took a break. I bought a pin making machine off of eBay. It makes these little pins, buttons, badges. I would watch Cartoon Network. I bought this for about $130. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars to this day just off of these little teeny pins. I'd sell them at craft fairs, concerts, farmers markets. I would just make pins and watch cartoons. At one point, I teamed up with a friend of mine. He had a way better computer. He was better at designing it, a better printer. And our business grew. I thought it would be cool to start a business with a friend. We got our pins sold through all the Newbury Comics locations throughout New England. But at one point, my friend got a girlfriend, and he was no longer passionate about doing arts and crafts with me in a dark room on the weekends. So our business failed, and I kept positive. While my friends were hanging out with cute girls at parties, I was hanging out with cute old ladies at Joann Fabrics. I had a new idea. I would go up and down the fleece fabric aisle and I would buy fleece fabric that was on sale for $3 a yard. I would then get a pizza cutter and I'd cut it in 3 strips, and then bam, for $3 I could make 3 scarves that I would then resell for $30 each, making $90 anytime I spent $3. This was one of my better businesses. The only thing about this is it's seasonal. You don't have to know how to sew to make these scarves. If you can cut pizza, you can cut this fabric. If you cut it the right way, it will not fray. I had these sold through all the Newbury Comics locations. I sold them at craft fairs, concerts, farmers markets. And when the heart of summertime came around again, I had to stop selling these because nobody wanted to buy fleece scarves in the summer. I got a full-time job at Newbury Comics in Braintree, Massachusetts, and every day I went to work. This is the car I used to drive. There's nothing wrong with it. It got me from point A to point B, and it inspired me every single day to work just a little bit harder. While working at Newbury Comics, I received a tremendous amount of weird nicknames. Since my name is Johnny, my goofy coworkers would call me Johnny Cupcakes, Johnny Come Lately if I was late for work, Johnny Appleseed. And I thought Johnny Cupcakes was a funny name, and the prankster inside of me wanted to print this on a t-shirt to advertise a bakery that didn't even exist. I thought it would be a funny thing to do, so I wore it to work, and all of these slightly miserable customers that never made eye contact with me, they started laughing and saying, "What's Johnny Cupcakes? Is that a bakery? Where can I get one of those t-shirts?" And the word of mouth spread like wildfire, and before I knew it, I was sacrificing my lunch breaks to either get free rolls from Bertucci so I could save money and not buy lunch so I could buy more t-shirts, or I would sacrifice my lunch breaks to sell these shirts out of the trunk of my car in the parking lot of Newbury Comics. Anytime I'd sell 12 t-shirts, I'd take that money and I'd put it back into the brand and make 24 t-shirts, and so on and so forth. I started making tote bags, sweatshirts, kids' clothes, and the brand just kept growing. The more I put in, the more I got back. These are some of the shirts to give you an idea. We've been in business for 16 years now, and we release brand new t-shirts every single Friday at noon. Once we sell out of them, we normally don't make them again. So a lot of people will collect them. We have a customer in Belgium. She owns more than 1,000 Johnny Cupcakes items. Most customers are not one-time buyers. They usually will collect a few t-shirts. A lot of people will trade shirts. Some t-shirts have resold on eBay for more than $500-$600. And this is an example of where you'll find out how we remix the brand. So we poke fun at pop culture a lot. And when we're planning out our schedule for the whole year, I know that we're always going to release our baseball shirts, our basketball shirts, our soccer shirts, our football shirts, our hockey shirts. So we know those are always going to release, and people are going to collect them. It's been a family tradition for a lot of people. And then we go back around the calendar. Okay, we know that we're going to release our Halloween shirts, our Christmas shirts, our Valentine's Day shirts, our summer shirts, our winter shirts, our fall shirts. And then we go back around the calendar again. And to fill in the gaps, we'll take our classic cupcake and crossbones shirt, and we'll put different patterns inside of it. Or we'll take some different animal shirts and add cupcakes to it. Or we'll see what blockbuster movies are coming out, and we'll try to work out licensing deals or do very, very light parodies with some of those properties. So this has been a huge help. And again, I just sell t-shirts. It's not rocket science. It's not this crazy thing. It's just a t-shirt. I meet 50 people a day through social media that are starting their own t-shirt brands. So the big thing that separates us is we try to make everything an experience. I don't believe we sell merchandise. I believe we sell memories through merchandise, and I'll show you why. So for instance, we did a chubby chef slam dunking a cupcake. We packaged these in little tiny sneaker boxes, so you would open it up and get your t-shirt from it. We've done... This is where you'll understand a little bit better. So I thought it would be fun to release a breakfast-themed t-shirt design. And you know that frustration you feel when you go buy a breakfast sandwich and it's 11:05 and they won't sell it to you because the toaster's unplugged? Well, I wanted to share that same frustration with all of my customers, so we released a breakfast-themed t-shirt design that you can only buy during breakfast hours. Even if you drove from New York City to Boston to buy this t-shirt, we would not sell it to you because it's against company policy. So we definitely lost a few customers that day. But we also gave out real breakfast with every t-shirt purchase. We had some customers that camped out. We were able to sell a shirt that we normally sell for $35. We sold this for around $45, and they sold out within 24 hours. We made a connection with our customers up here and their stomachs and their hearts. Some of them met their best friends that day, their significant others, and a lot of them have this new memory. Even the people who are the customers that I lost, anytime they eat breakfast for the rest of their lives, there's a good chance they're going to share that story about how this tiny little jerk wouldn't sell them a shirt, even though they drove from New York City to Boston. So this is a shirt I'm releasing soon. It's the Where's Johnny t-shirt. In fact, I chose to take a financial loss. I'm not even going to sell this t-shirt. The only way to get it is to physically find me. So for whoever follows me on social media, if I say, hey, I'm at the South Shore Plaza, you know, hanging out at the food court, I'm going to be here for 20 minutes, and the first 10 people to find me get the Where's Johnny shirt. So it's going to send people on a real-life scavenger hunt. And if you found this little dude in the food court and got a free shirt, or by a dumpster in the back of McDonald's, as sketchy and weird as it is, anytime you wore that shirt, you'd have to share that story. So, you know, I've always taken my marketing and advertising budget and put it into building experiences around the brand. And by doing that, the customers will do the story sharing for us. One big thing we've done in the past few years is corporate gifting. I realize it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Basically, every company and organization has to buy gifts for their employees, their customers, their clients, their potential clients. So we started offering to make custom shirts for them and handle all the production, the design, and even post about this on our own social channels. So we've done some stuff with Suffolk University. This was with Goldwell Carasilk. We did some frosting hair parody shirt. Gillette hired us to bring back their mascot from the 1950s and to create a campaign around Father's Day about, you know, building that bond with your kid about shaving. So I brought my dad to Gillette, and we filmed a little video talking about how my dad taught me how to shave, and this was fun. We did some shirts with House of Blues. So it just goes to show you there's so many ways to remix what you do, and that's my challenge every day, is to figure out ways to not just sell a t-shirt on our website, but to figure out 101 other ways to reach new customers in new ways. We've done some shirts with food trucks. This guy was super excited. He posted it up, and there were people that were lining up to buy shirts, and they were accepting money from strangers on Instagram that were offering them $60 if they waited in line to do a pickup and mail them a shirt. So people have been making pen pals through t-shirts, and it's been pretty neat. We've done collaborations with Marilyn Monroe's estate. We replaced her beauty mark with a little tiny cupcake. We've done some shirts with Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, bicycle cards. Hello Kitty was a really big one. Sanrio approached us and wanted us to remix some of their characters. And they posted this on their Facebook fan page before Facebook changed their algorithms. So there was, they had more than 10 million fans at the time, and our website nearly crashed. We generated $250,000 in sales within 24 hours with zero traditional advertising. We thought something was wrong. We thought the website was broken, but we realized that day how successful a good collaboration could be. But it wasn't the financial success that made me the most excited. It was the fact that brand new people that have never heard about Johnny Cupcakes before we're learning about the world of Johnny Cupcakes and you know, signing up to get updates from the brand. So if we play our cards right, a good collaboration could lead to lifelong customers. This was very fun, very exciting. We decided to do it again with the Ninja Turtles, and we remixed some of their shirts to build up hype and excitement for the new Ninja Turtles movie. We made a cute little shredder holding a cupcake. And what else can we do, though? It can't just be the design. It has to be more than that. There has to be an experience, because everybody's walking around with their heads down looking at their phones. Retailers are having a hard time because window displays don't even count for anything anymore because everyone has their head down. So we try to experiment with scents. My retail stores smell like vanilla frosting. We hide vanilla scented car fresheners in the heater vents. You know, sidewalk signs. There's a lot of ways to still get someone who has their head down to look up. So when we partnered up with the Ninja Turtles, it was important to have the Ninja Turtles go out and surprise our customers. I had a 4-year pop-up shop in London on Carnaby Street, and I wanted to be there around the time the Olympics were in the city because I figured it would boost our international sales online. So this is very fun, very exciting. Now, what's great about a collaboration on any scale is the cross-pollination. Again, someone else's customers learning about what you do and vice versa. And again, if you play your cards right, they could be customers for life. So people might not know or care about Johnny Cupcakes, but they see the Ninja Turtles, it connects with their childhood, and that's the excuse for them to walk into the store, and they might leave that day with a t-shirt, they might sign up on our email list. I believe in every workforce, creative thinking must be applied in stories and sales, leadership and education, marketing and advertising, product development, customer experience, social media. All of these things have been done before. So the best way that you're going to stand out is by being creative, having fun. Humor and good design are very comforting for new potential customers, and you can never have enough of that. Social media is free. It shows real-time relevancy, and you just simply have to document your day. Post about what you do every single day and let people in behind the scenes of your business. That transparency builds brand loyalty. We did a project with G-Shock, with Casio. We did a special edition watch, and to put that creative thinking into play, we bartered with them, and a part of the deal, they gave us their retail store in New York City, and we were able to have a free rent for 4 days. We were able to have a pop-up shop in Soho, New York. So this was a very fun, exciting moment. Nickelodeon was another project we worked with Ren and Stimpy and Hey Arnold's. And the last project I want to show you is what we did with The Simpsons. This is very exciting. They want to do a project for their big anniversary. So we packaged t-shirts in oversized cupcake boxes, and inside every box there were little prizes. So Homer's came with some special edition Homer socks and a watch that you could not buy separately. You had to get the box set. Krusty's came with a bow tie, a hat, and a t-shirt. Bart's came with sunglasses and a wallet. And then we had some other general merchandise. But by making the box sets, again, we were able to take a $35 shirt and sell it for around $75 by adding the fun details. And these sold out on our website in minutes. It was a very exciting project. If I could do it over again, I would have signed a longer licensing deal because most of our customers purchase the products. And the best part about a collaboration is introducing it to new people. So I wish I could have remixed that, but we're thinking about that going forward. We just signed a licensing deal with Power Rangers, which is a project we just did. We gave out Duff energy drinks. So again, why is someone going to sacrifice their weekend, and how are they going to convince their significant other to wait in line to spend money on their only day off? It can't just be because a cool new t-shirt's coming out. We have to throw in the packaging. We have to say, anytime you advertise free food or free drinks or live music, those are exciting factors that will change someone's mind. Like, I don't really want to go, but if there's going to be food there, we'll check it out. If it's terrible, we'll leave. So we gave out Duff energy drinks. We gave out real cupcakes, which I don't normally sell. It's a t-shirt brand. We display shirts in refrigerators. So when we have real cupcakes, it really throws people off. So we teamed up with Duff Goldman of Ace of Cakes, Charm City West to make these little donut cupcakes. I had Homer Simpson come out and choke people that were waiting in line for t-shirts and get the photo ops with Homer Simpson. Again, all of these little things, that the more you can add on, the more reason someone's going to go support your event, your launch, your party. My mother even dressed up like Marge Simpson and greeted all of the customers that were waiting in line for t-shirts. People thrive off of new experiences, so much so that they're willing to camp out for days. This was at we had a residency shop in Los Angeles for 8 years on Melrose Ave, and this was all the customers that had camped out for the Simpson shirts. Very exciting day, but again, all of those little details added to more reasons, give people more reasons to want to take time to support you, to talk about you. My concept is strange, but strange is good. It's important. It sets you apart from the rest. Here's Kiss the Band. You may or may not like their music, but we mostly know about them because they dress up like clowns and perform rock and roll. Mario Brothers, really strange concept for a video game. It's a plumber that shoots fire out of his nose and or mouth. We still don't know, but we do know for sure he's looking for a princess inside of a sewer. It's a very strange concept, but it's the most recognized video game franchise in the world. Speaking of sewers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These are turtles that live in a sewer and eat pizza where poo-poo floats around. It's very bizarre, but it's so different, it's so unique, it's so original that people talk about it and people recognize the Ninja Turtles. So any project you're working on, always ask yourself, what are 12 things that make you unique as a person, as a business, as a brand, as a product, as an event? Whatever it is that you end up doing, challenge yourself and keep building off of those things, because you have to give strangers a reason to support you and what you do. People have too many options. Why will they take a risk with you? So before all that success, I'm living at my parents' house, 18 years old, working at Newbury Comics, taking a break, and selling these shirts on tour with the hardcore metal band that I was in. It was called On Broken Wings. We traveled around. I sold shirts out of my suitcase. They were wrinkled up. They smelled like fast food and gas, but I was selling out of shirts left and right. I'd call home. My mom and my little sister would ship out shirts to whatever city we were touring through. I got so big that I had to leave the band and take a risk and go with the t-shirts. I learned about trade shows. There's trade shows for every type of business out there. And I wanted to get my shirts sold in all these stores, but every owner of the shop would say, oh, are you going to be at this trade show in Vegas? That's where we do all our buying. So I went out to Vegas. I bought a small table for a few $1,000s. It was all the money that I had, but I knew that you get what you pay for, and I had to take that risk. So that day I got my shirts sold in stores in Italy, Japan, Australia, all over the US. It was very fun, very exciting, until those stores didn't pay me on time or at all. So I learned the pros and cons of selling your products to other stores. When you sell your stuff to another store, you lose control of the customer service, of the quality, and you sometimes don't know if you're going to get paid on time or at all. So after that, I went back home and I focused on my online shop. I told myself I'm going to figure out a way to go direct to my customers. I'm going to make a better profit margin, curate a better experience. But the best thing I took away from that trade show was the high-fiving, the networking. So right now I want you to just high-five someone next to you, behind you. You never know. It could be a future friend, future customer. I was learning from other brands. I was learning what to price my products at and just meeting new friends. And some of those people I still talk to this day. So I like to say meet strangers unless they drive a white van. It's very important. So keep that in mind. So I went back home and I focused on my online shop. Having an online store will allow me to get my shirts into hands of people from all over the place. Having an online shop, it's important to have good photography. If it's not the best photography, people might think you don't have the best credit card processing, and there's a chance that their numbers could get stolen or that the product might be a little crummy. So if you could get the best website design and online shop and even the mailers that you send your products out in, all of those little things are reasons for someone to trust you and for someone to continue to talk about you. So my parents' house was filled with boxes of shirts. You had to play Tetris with cardboard boxes to get to the bathroom, the refrigerator. Online shop kept growing, but I started getting shirts returned in the mail because people's t-shirts smelled like cigarette smoke, or they had cat hair on it. And I couldn't really control the environment that I was in. I had free rent at my parents' house, so I eventually had to move out and get my own space. Some people were returning their shirts. They smelled terrible, so I learned about packaging the hard way. Packaging could make or break an experience. There are some kids that want to go to Build-A-Bear, not even for the product, but they want that cardboard dollhouse that they could color in. People want to go to McDonald's for the Happy Meal. A lot of people save their MacBooks from the Apple Store, the packaging, because it opens in 14 different weird ways, and nobody wants to throw it out. So it goes a long way. Many people save their sneaker boxes. A lot of people save the stickers on their hats that announces what size head they have. It's really bizarre, but that packaging, that sticker, makes the hat look new and fresh, even though it's old and sweaty. It adds to the experience. So I like to say good packaging does not get thrown away. It acts as a miniature billboard. We've packaged our cupcake earrings in little food containers. We didn't even put the colors on there. We labeled the colors as flavors. All these things make people think of gift giving and get them excited. We even put nutrition facts on the back, even though you cannot really eat these. We package our shirts in pastry boxes. When you buy a t-shirt, you get a pastry box with it. It does cost us more money and more time to do this, but it adds to the brand experience. And if you search the Johnny Cupcakes hashtag on Instagram, you'll notice a lot of people are taking photos of their experience. We've done ice cream themed shirts and ice cream containers, and we've rented out ice cream trucks in New York City, San Francisco, Santa Monica, and Los Angeles. And we've driven around and sold ice cream themed t-shirts out of ice cream trucks, even in giant push-up pops with rolled up shirts inside, and you pull the handle off and pull your shirt out, and it makes a little funny noise. So these customers were super excited. Again, these little details added more value to the shirts. We sold these for upwards of $60, $75. They sold out at every stop. Some of them resold for a few $100s. And not one person complained about the price because they were so excited to find the ice cream truck. I chose not to tell people where we were going to be too far ahead of time because I wanted people to chase us like little kids chasing an ice cream truck. I wanted the experience to be so authentic. We dressed up like milkmen from the 1950s, bow ties, little hats, and we even gave out real ice cream with every t-shirt purchase. So again, we had a plethora of reasons for someone to go spend their day going to this event because of all of these little giveaways and details. I've done frosting themed shirts with fake frosting drips packaged in frosting containers that smell like frosting. I've done to-go themed shirts packaged in to-go boxes. You might get a winning fortune cookie. We've done, again, like I said before, good humor, good design, and humor are they're inviting. They get strangers to be curious about what you do. We've done Halloween themed shirts with fake movie titles for movies that don't exist. We've made trailers on YouTube for these movies, and just to add to the hype and excitement of releasing the Halloween themed shirts. And we even package them in VHS tapes to give people a collectible. And on some of these shirts, we've gone as far as having the releases at nighttime. So you buy your spooky shirts when it's dark outside. We've shown Halloween movies in the windows of my Newbury Street shop. I've rented out a popcorn machine and given out free popcorn to every customer that came through. Our employees dressed up like zombies for the day. We had a costume contest. Even if you weren't buying the shirt, you could enter into the costume contest and potentially win a prize. So by adding all of these details, it gets people from all walks of life to be a part of this t-shirt community. I even went as far as renting out a hearse and a coffin from a creepy guy on Craigslist for $220. I realized Marc Jacobs and Ralph Lauren are not jumping out of hearses or coffins, so I decided to do so. I even went to Kinko's for $30. I got a decal that I put on the coffin and the hearse to make it be branded with Johnny Cupcakes. Here I am jumping out of the hearse. It's definitely creepy. But if you see a hearse and a coffin on Newbury Street in front of a bakery that doesn't sell real cupcakes, that's going to physically stop you to try to figure out what is going on. And when we do this, it stops everybody on that street, and they're taking photos and asking questions. And then all of our customers are acting as brand ambassadors and sharing the company's story. So before I know it, more people are jumping in line. And I'll purposely have our releases in the middle of the day on a weekend, because I know that's when the most strangers are out shopping. And if I'm going to have an event and people lining up in front of the store, it's in my best interest to have that in the heart of the day, so new customers can learn about the brand through our existing customers, which is that word of mouth marketing is a very powerful tool. Even the back of the hearse, it said Johnny Cupcakes, the Undertaker Baker. Again, and I don't even do drugs and can come up with these ideas. All you have to do is just don't rush, be goofy, have fun. Stay up late if you have to, wake up early. The more you put in, the more you get back. Burger shirts, burger packaging. When we ship out shirts on our website every single day, every single week, we package them in unique packaging. So to build that excitement from an online store has been tough because it's not a physical retail space. So we did so by having a great website and having great customer service, but by also having fun packaging. Sometimes we'll throw in stickers, pins. I think all of you in your green bags will have a little Johnny Cupcakes book and you might have a sticker or a pin in your bag. But sometimes we'll throw in random items in people's orders just to be goofy. So you might get a pack of batteries with your order, a chocolate bar, a $20 bill, or a doll's head. I've realized the more weird it is, the better chance someone's going to talk about it. If you bought a T-shirt from an online shop and got a doll's head with your order, you're either going to call the police or you're going to post a photo on it on social media. And if 1,000 of your friends learn about Johnny Cupcakes because I sacrificed one of my sister's doll's heads, then I'll make enough money to buy my sister some more dolls and put a little bit more money back into the brand. One thing I do that's absolutely free is I'll take a break from work and I'll write handwritten notes on customers' orders. It's a free thing to do. Whether you have a business or not, a handwritten note could go a long way. Thank your teachers, your neighbors, your friends, your family. Just remind people that you love them. It's something that could completely change their day, their year, their life. Every time someone supports my brand, my goal is to make sure that they feel like it's their birthday. So again, we ship out shirts all over the world every day. Our headquarters is in Weymouth. I started the brand in Hull. We have a retail shop that's been going for 11 years now on Newbury Street in Boston, and I have a summer shop in Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard on Circuit Ave. But we do pop-up shops. I've done more than 400 pop-up shops around the world. 99% of them, I have spent zero money on rent. Landlords have many empty spaces, and it's in their best interest to fill them with people or events when they're showing them to potential clients. So a lot of times they'll give you discounted or even free space. But even better than that, you can utilize your social media. Like I'll post online like, hey, it's Johnny. I'm going to do a tour around the USA. If you want to host me at your house, your work, or your school, just let me know. And, you know, in no time, we'll have a list of places and see what matches up with the little route that we're going to go on through the States. And I've done pop-up shops in people's backyards, at art galleries, at headquarters of different companies, from Facebook to the Museum of Science. So there's a lot of ways to do this and to get that free exposure, because you're helping out another business, because you're going to promote it on your social media. You're going to make flyers. You're going to spread the word. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, and this has been a great way that we've been operating over the years. Now, when people get the shirts in the mail with the little note on the packaging, this person says sometimes it's the little things. How many clothing designers / owners do you know will personally write a thank you message for their customers? This person said, I just peed myself. Hashtag legit, hashtag no judgment. And lastly, this person said, received this gem in the mail today and realized that Johnny Cupcakes personally signed my package. This little act of kindness definitely made my day. I've fully supported the Johnny Cupcakes brand for the past 8 years and will forever continue to support such an amazing brand. Thank you so much, Johnny. I don't even know who Mariah is, but I thanked her on her package. 2 seconds of writing thanks, Mariah, has her saying she's going to be a customer for life. And she's showing this to everyone she knows through her social media. It wasn't even a marketing idea. It was just the way my parents raised me to just be thankful. So anytime you could do that, it's a very important trait to have, is being thankful and being thoughtful. And you can incorporate it with your business. The more, the better. Some of our old tags have been in the shape of oven mitts in the back of our shirts. Some shirts have secret messages inside. I cannot show you because it's secret. We've developed rolling pins with wooden handles that are hollowed out, and you pull out your t-shirt from inside of the rolling pin. It's a clever idea until you realize you do not use rolling pins to make cupcakes. So I screw up every single day. I fail every day, but anytime I fail, it forces me to think strategically, and I come up with my best ideas during the worst times. So once you start getting used to screwing up, but making the best out of every little experience from that, it's going to help you push forward stronger and better and faster. This is our mascot. We call him Big Kid. When I went to go speak at a couple events in Japan, I realized there was a mascot for everything out there. And I think mascots are important. When you have a brand, a business, an organization, it helps people remember who you are. It certainly helps with merchandising, and it gives it a very friendly, fun feel to your brand and helps with your brand's DNA. This is our mascot. We dress him up every year, every month. Halloween, we did a Freddy Krueger, Big Kid, who just put a striped shirt and claws on his hand. We did this packaging for the toy that he came in, so he got put in here. There's even a scale, a cupcake-shaped scale that he could rest on. It was a really clever, fun idea. But looking back on it, I was like, that's a little weird. So we stopped making these toys. So we screw up every single day, and it's sometimes there are things that we don't know about, and sometimes there are things that come up later. There's been designers that we've worked with that have made things that we thought were original, and then months later we found out that it's a little too close to this or that. So it's important to know who you're working with, to plan far in advance, to always have a backup plan. Your website, your business card, your resume, these are all extensions of your personality. If it looks like someone else's, you might get treated like someone else. Here's a wooden business card. If I had to choose between 200 carpenters to work on my home and the person with the least experience had the coolest wooden business card, it would make me feel like if this person puts that much time, energy, heart, and creativity into something as small as their business card, it makes me feel like if I hire them to work in my home, they're going to put that same energy into building my home. So they might spend $4 or $5 per business card, but their potential business transaction could be a $40,000, $50,000 transaction. Here's a clear business card. Here's a miniature one. This is cool if you're starting a clothing line. This one really stands out. My first business card was a Home Alone 2 Lost in New York trading card, and I just wrote my name and number on the back of it. But it made people smile. It made people remember the brand, or remember me. My current business cards, which I don't know if I have any on me, but they smell like frosting. And what I do is I let them marinate in a Ziploc bag with car fresheners inside. And when I pull them out, they smell like vanilla frosting. So you don't have to have much money to be clever with your cards. There are plenty of websites that will print free business cards for you. If you gave me a business card and you didn't have a business, I would not think that would be weird. In fact, I'd be impressed that you're that organized, that you have your own business card, and it shows great organizational skills. Some of these websites that make free business cards for you is they put their website on the back. So one thing you can do is you can design your business card so it's 2 miniature business cards in one. And then you go to cut them in half and you're cutting off the website too. So there's clever ways to make the best out of those situations. Even if you have a card that looks like everyone else's, if you can write notes on your cards when you give them to people, and when people give you their cards, write notes on them. So when you follow up with somebody, you can make it more personal, and you don't have to have this cut and pasted email that you send to everybody. So before all that success, I'm moving the shirts out of my parents' house, getting the cat hair out of here and the cigarette smoke, and I opened up my first shop, $700 a month for rent, across the street from a playground in Hull, Massachusetts, down the street from my parents' house. At first, this space acted as an office, a shipping facility. We hosted art events where we'd let people in the community showcase their art once a month, and we'd have an opening for them, and we would sell our shirts there. Eventually, we outgrew the space, and I realized that you get what you pay for, and this was cheap rent, but there was not that much foot traffic. But we made the best out of it, built a community around the brand. When I would travel, I'll utilize my social media to have customer meetups. I'll say, hey, it's Johnny, I'm in San Francisco. If you meet me at this pizza shop at 3 o'clock and you're wearing a Johnny Cupcake shirt, I'm going to treat you to pizza, or I'm going to buy you lunch or breakfast. And I'll think 10 people will show up, and then bam, 400 people will show up, and I'll feed people all day at the park in Union Square in San Francisco. So I've done this with pizza, with ice cream, with dodgeball. It's a great way to give back to customers, to keep it personal, and it's a fraction of the price that traditional advertising is. Over time, I've seen more than 2,000 people get Johnny Cupcakes tattoos. I've seen neck tattoos, face tattoos, back tattoos. I've seen tattoos in places I wish I did not see. But every customer has their own experience with the brand. They might have been inspired to start their own business, to live a healthier lifestyle. They might have met their best friend through the brand, or they just like the design. I was going to give a talk in Denver, Colorado. Out of all the people I sat next to at Logan Airport, this stranger recognized my T-shirt. He recognized, and he said, "Oh, I love Johnny Cupcakes. Check out this tattoo I just got." I said, "Oh, that's cool." So the turning point of my business is when I took the bigger risk. I opened up a shop on Newbury Street in Boston. This was 11 years ago. I had no idea what was going to happen. When I opened my first store, it was tough to even get $1,000 loan from the bank, and I would go and I'd show them like this article in the newspaper. And I said, "Oh, I think my shirts are going to be really big someday," and they wouldn't give me that. And then a couple of years later, that same bank wanted me to do business with them. And I said, no, thank you. So you kind of have to use people's negativity and other people's doubt as motivation to prove those suckers wrong and to just work hard and keep your head down and keep your spirits up. So when I got to opening this store, I had no real plan of action except I know this is where people shop. It might be $7,000 or $8,000 a month for rent, but there's 1 million students around New England, and many of their families go into Boston and go to Newbury Street to shop. There's the baseball games, the convention center. I have to try this out. There's my dad and I building out the shop. We look like Oompa Loompas. I was very excited to work with my dad. I know one of the reasons why I don't drink is my dad was an alcoholic as I was growing up, but since starting this business and making it family run, my dad has been sober for more than a decade, and it's a true blessing to be able to work with him and see him so positive and funny and full of excitement. So I'm very proud of him. We built out the shop together, and that opening day, more than 400 customers lined up forever. And the line wrapped down the block. It wasn't even a single file line. And at one point, parts of the line were connecting with other parts of the line, and we had to reorganize it. It was no traditional advertising, mostly word of mouth. By having an online store and building up a bit of excitement and putting myself out there at music festivals, farmers markets, craft fairs, I was able to spread the word about the brand. So when it was time to open up a store, we had a very healthy opening. Even people were jumping in front of me who used to make fun of me. If I could go back in time, I would have put itching powder in front of their shirts. But again, you have to use people's negativity as motivation to prove them wrong. Raise your hand if you know someone who's not happy unless they have something to complain about. If you're not raising your hand, you are that person, by the way. I'm just kidding, kind of not really. But seriously, though, life isn't bad. Anytime you're feeling down on yourself, just turn on the news and you'll realize you probably have it a lot better than a lot of places. So keeping positive, keeping creative, putting yourself out there. That's what I just kept doing. I just kept trying. That opening day was great. We just redesigned the store. So when you walk into Johnny Cupcakes, it says, "Welcome to the world's first t-shirt bakery." And you enter this room, and it's a really small room. But and there's a riddle on the wall. It says, "Don't turn back now. There's more to explore. Just give a tug on the right door." So it's a riddle. And you're actually only in 10% of the store. And if you pull on this giant 13-foot tall oven that secretly opens, it brings you into the world's first t-shirt bakery. You get greeted by a custom neon sign, a wall of ovens, clunky pipes to make you feel like you're in a Dr. Seuss movie. I had these ovens made from scratch by a company that builds a lot of Jeff Koons balloon animal sculptures, and they open and close at random times. They used to shoot steam out, but it would make the store a little scary, so we turned that off. I laid out tiles diagonally because it makes a small space appear larger. A lot of grocery stores will do that. You'll be pushing your cart and you'll start to slow down, but the tiles are just getting smaller and you start to see all the food that's on sale. So if you're working with a small space, you can use mirrors and paint colors and floor tiles to really change up the space. We use a lot of black and white colors to make the colorful shirts pop. It's in my best interest to not paint the walls green or blue or red or orange. I want the products to really stand out. Stores like Starbucks, they use really warm colors to make you feel cozy. They make you want to sit down and drink your coffee and read a book, read a newspaper. So we display all the shirts in industrial refrigerators. These did cost more money and time to get, but they added more of an experience. I could have saved a tremendous amount of time and money by going to IKEA and getting inexpensive displays. I love IKEA, but I just I have to make sure the store looks very original. If I'm going this far, I cannot sacrifice the design of the shop. So one challenge that I've had is, why is somebody online going to travel out to Boston to buy a t-shirt when they can just buy it online? Why are they going to pay for parking and find the store and pay for gas, this, and that? So I started making in-store exclusives, designs that you cannot buy on our website, that you have to travel up to the store to get. Same with the website, same with the Martha's Vineyard store. There's shirts that you have to take a boat to Martha's Vineyard to get the special edition Jaws-themed t-shirt. So we did a marathon themed shirt with 10 years in running. We did that last year with a cupcake. Again, there's the packaging for the shirts. Even the employees wear aprons. dough mixers that don't work just for show. And like I said, I hide vanilla scented car fresheners in my retail store to make it smell like frosting when you walk in. When I was building out the shop, one of my friends was asking me, "How do you make it smell like frosting in here?" And I said, "Oh, it's easy. You mix vanilla frosting with white paint." And he was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah. If you lick the wall right here, you can taste it a little bit." And my friend Boris licked the wall, and he's like, "I smell it still, but I don't really taste it." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's this part of the wall." So he went over, he licked this part of the wall, and then that. But after 4 licks, he realized I was joking with him. If I could go back in time, I would have put Orajel all over the wall so his mouth would go numb. So that day was very successful. It was the turning point of the brand. I was able to hire my mom full-time to be the CFO of my company. I was inspired to spend more time with my family. I was inspired to be an entrepreneur so I could spend more time with the people that I love. And I now get to work with my mom, my dad, my sister, my neighbor. At one point, I had a really big team, but last year I had to make a very difficult decision, and my costs kept going up, and I realized that it was a very tough realization to see that you don't need a lot of the people that you have, because I took so much pride in employing people and giving out opportunities. But then when I realized that, so I ended up my headquarters, we had 12 employees, and I had to let 7 people go. So now my company is ran by 90% women, and we've never operated more successfully, more fast. We had our most productive year this last year, and there's a different type of work ethic. There's a different type of attitude. There's a go with the flow attitude. I think one of the best parts about being an entrepreneur or working with a small business is learning to adapt in different situations. So, yeah, I'm very thankful. But I've built a positive team over time, and I wouldn't be here without all these people over the transitions of the brand over time. Everybody's contributed to the success. It's not just me. And I've had to learn and turn negatives into positives. So one new thing that we're doing, one new project that I'm very excited to roll out is taking it back to the Tupperware days. I actually used to do a thing called Cupperware parties, where I would say, "Hey, if you want a free Johnny Cupcake shirt, all you have to do is invite me to sell shirts at your home or your work." So I used to do that before I opened my stores, and I stopped doing it after I opened my stores, but now I'm starting it again. So we're calling people cake dealers, and we're hiring cake dealers in different states. We already have about half a dozen cake dealers, and we inspire them to be and coach them to be entrepreneurs. We get their business cards set up. We teach them how to have pop-up shops, and we give them 30% of whatever they sell. So we're only letting a couple people do it, but that's my new passion project, and I'm just trying to find a better work-life balance. I got married a year and a half ago, and I finally started making time to pay attention to these things that I put aside while I was building the brand, and it feels good to now have this life balance. I'm feeling more human, more complete. So this is a funny meme someone posted online. Store called Johnny Cupcakes doesn't sell cupcakes. Every day we have upset people saying, "Wait a minute, you guys don't sell real cupcakes. What's going on?" And if I want to be, a funny guy, I'll say, "Well, the Apple Store doesn't sell fruit. They sell computers, and that's the complete opposite. So why should I have to sell real cupcakes?" We will sell cupcakes on April Fool's Day, which will really mess with people. We'll hide all of our T-shirts, and so I might open a store across the street called Johnny's T-Shirts that only sells cupcakes to really mess with people. We actually did start a partnership with Union Square Donuts. So on Saturdays, we have a secret stash of donuts by our cash register, just in case things get wild in the store. But our windows say no sugar, no carbs, no fat. We're not lying. There's no sugar, no carbs, no fat. It's all fiber. It's all cotton. And this is a funny review someone gave me. They gave me 1 star. They said, "This is not Cupcake Shop. Overpriced T-shirts and not even one cupcake. Only when you paid for parking and enter the store, you realize you wasted your time, comma, capital O." Gotta have that good English. On the storefront, they have signs galore. Freshly baked, no sugar. Not even one sign say they sell cloths. No cupcakes. They think it's clever. Nope. Well, I'll tell you what's clever. I'm going to put this negative review on a T-shirt and sell it for $35. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. If we have time for questions, yeah, anyone have any questions? We'll take one or two questions. Yes. What's the dream? The dream for me is to write children's books one day. And I think once I become a dad, I'm going to try to write children's books. Yeah. Yeah. But the dream was to spend more time with my family, and that's probably my biggest accomplishment is that there's not a day that goes by where I don't talk or see my mom, my dad, and my sister. Next question, yes. Am I wearing a t-shirt under this jacket? I am. It's just this little guy right here. Yeah. Mint green is our favorite color. We get a lot of inspiration from the 1950s, and I feel like that was the color from that era. Yes, this is a new jacket we're coming out with next month. We partnered up with a jacket company, so we're going to release quite a few things. But yeah, you should have a book in your bag that has some information there. I live in Massachusetts, so if you ever need anything or have any questions, I do all of the social media, so just send me a message. Once in a while, I do meetups at the shop. If you're ever starting a business or you have a business and just have some questions or want to collaborate, feel free to reach out and I'll help you the best that I can. One more question, yes. When am I going to do the Where's Johnny shirt? I can't tell you. You gotta follow me to find out. All right. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, guys.
So much.
So now it's time for lunch. So if I could ask all the girls, does the charter school want to get a picture with your alumni? Yeah, so why don't you guys come up here and we'll get a picture with Johnny. And then if everybody else wants to go out, go back to where you had breakfast and to the right is where there'll be lunch served.